Have you ever wondered why friends suddenly turn into rivals? Why the same hands that once shook in friendship are now the ones holding a knife behind the back? This isn't just a story. This is the real game of world politics. And in this story, the new challenger is India. Now the question is, in this game of loyalty and betrayal, what's the hidden reason? There was a time when India walked beside its allies with nothing but trust. But today, India is playing a very different game to protect itself. On its borders, a system has been placed that gives no room for the enemy to hide. A radar powered by artificial intelligence that can track America's every step. So tell me, if every spy is caught the very moment they step across the border, where does that leave the rest of the world? For India, there is only one rule now. If you throw a stone, we will answer with a wall. America believed its satellites would quietly watch India's movements without being noticed. But India played a move so sharp that even America was shaken. Tell me, when does the true face of a friend reveal itself? In comfort or in struggle? America carried the pride that nothing could escape its eyes. But the moment it realized India's radar was catching its satellites sneaking across the border, it was stunned. Do you think pride makes someone stronger, or does it make them blind? India's state of mind has changed. It is no longer just a country thinking about trade or building partnerships. It is a nation preparing for defense and firm retaliation. And when America saw that India was now ready to answer every step, a shadow of fear began to grow in its heart. Can fear ever be avoided, or must it always be faced head-on? This isn't only the story of radars, it is the story of a nation that finally realized that behind a friendly smile, deception can hide. And when friendship turns into trickery, the reply must be given in a language deceivers can understand. Do you think betrayal should ever be pardoned? America thought of itself as the mentor of the world, but India made it clear that the real master is the one who identifies the enemy at the right moment. America is shocked, confused, asking itself where India got this strength. What do you believe? Does true power come from money or from determination? For America, this discovery was like a bolt of lightning. It believed its satellites would pass silently across the border, watching everything. But India had already cracked the code and built its defense. That is what real protection means. What's your thought? Does real defense depend on weapons or on intelligence? India has sent a bold message. If you come as a friend, we will welcome you. But if you come as an enemy, we will uncover you. And this message has reached America's ears clear and loud. Tell me, does humiliation make a nation weaker, or does it make it stronger? In the politics of the world, the most dangerous shift is when a friend transforms into an enemy. India has realized it must look past the masks, even when those masks belong to allies. And this single truth is still echoing in America's mind. Do you think when recognition comes too late, it ruins everything? America is stunned. The world is astonished, and India is creating a new example for its defense. This isn't just the tale of a border, it is the story of loyalty and betrayal. And when loyalty breaks into deceit, history itself writes the answer. Now let me ask you, if you were in India's position, would you choose to hold on to the friendship, or would you strike back? India is no longer the quiet observer it once was. For decades, it trusted the smiles of allies, believed the words, and held on to handshakes. But now, it has opened its eyes to a harder truth. Even the closest ones can use you for their own advantage. America thought India would always remain in its shadow. But this time, India has turned toward the light of its own strength. A nation that once believed in waiting has now chosen firmness. Do you believe patience is always a virtue, or can it sometimes become a weakness? When America realized its satellites were no longer invisible to India, it wasn't only shocked, it was uneasy. For a superpower built on control, losing secrecy was like losing its crown. Imagine the arrogance of a giant suddenly shaken by the rise of someone it looked down on. This is not just defense. It is a reminder that underdogs do not stay underdogs forever. What do you think? Does arrogance destroy empires faster than enemies ever could? The world is now looking at India with new eyes. For years they called it a rising power, a fast-growing economy, a nation on its way to becoming something larger. But today the discussion has changed. India is no longer on its way. It has arrived. By choosing defense above diplomacy, it has told the world that no one will dare to play with its security again. And in this new chapter, America finds itself unable to understand how the story flipped so suddenly. Do you believe real respect is freely given, or must it always be earned through struggle? America always took pride in knowing the unseen, predicting the unpredictable, and controlling the uncontrollable. But for the first time, it is forced to face a blind spot, and that blind spot is India. It is realizing that its friend studied its moves, decoded its tactics, and prepared responses so sharp that even the strongest intelligence groups are left speechless. So tell me, what is more dangerous? An enemy you can see, or a friend who knows you better than you know yourself? India has decided not to play defense alone anymore. It has chosen to play foresight. This radar system is not just about spotting a spy or catching a satellite. It is about sending a warning: we see you before you even see us. And when a nation reaches such a stage of readiness, it is no longer the hunted, it becomes the hunter. In your view, who holds more power, the one who reacts or the one who predicts? For America, this revelation is not simply a shock, it is an insult. How could a partner, an ally, a so-called friend outsmart it in such a way? The pain of betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from someone you once underestimated. And maybe this is the deepest wound America feels now. Not India's radar, not its machines, but the realization that its own pride made it blind. What hurts more, the enemy's strike or your own mistake? The map of the world is shifting. Once India leaned on the protection of others, but now those very protectors are realizing India no longer needs them. That is the true turning point. Not weapons, not satellites, not trade deals, but independence in defense. For the first time, India is not waiting for another to step in. It is standing on its own, ready to shield itself and ready to hit back. Do you think independence is given as a gift, or must it always be taken through struggle? India has shown America that respect cannot be asked for, it must be commanded. And the way to command it is not by pleading for safety, but by building it with your own strength. This is not only about borders, this is about honor, pride, and survival. The stronger India grows in its defense, the more it reminds the world that history is not written by the loudest voices, but by the strongest hands. Do you believe survival belongs to those who shout or those who prepare? Now a silent war has begun. Not the war of guns, but of knowledge. America listens, spies, and observes, but India has broken the invisible strings of espionage. India has declared it will no longer be studied like an open book. Instead, it will be the one writing the lessons. Do you believe knowledge is the greatest weapon of all, stronger even than bombs? For America, the ground is shifting. For India, a new dawn has started. And for the world, a new fear has appeared that maybe, just maybe, the balance of power is changing. The question is not whether India is ready for tomorrow. The real question is the world prepared for the new India? What do you think? Does change scare the weak or the powerful? India's plan was never about showing off. It was about watching, waiting, and then striking with precision. America thought it could quietly gather information unnoticed, but India had already laid its net. This AI-powered radar system was not just a tool. It was both a shield and a sword at the same time. It ensured that no spy, no satellite could ever cross without being seen. No signal could ever cross without being caught. So I ask you, what's stronger, a shield that never breaks or a sword that never misses? America believed India would forever remain dependent, that it would never dare to question its superiority. But when the radar detected even the smallest movement across the skies, America realized India had changed. This was no longer the India of yesterday. It was a nation reborn, fearless and steady. A friend becoming a rival is one thing, but a rival turning into a real challenge was something America never imagined. Tell me, when a challenge comes from where you least expect, does it shake you more or prepare you more? The whispers began, has India cracked the code of American dominance? That question started echoing in hidden rooms of power. For decades, America enjoyed the comfort of being untouchable. But one revelation from India was enough to make it uneasy, sleepless, and doubtful of its own plans. Sometimes fear doesn't come from an attack. It comes from knowing you can no longer hide. Do you think exposure destroys power or makes it more dangerous? India's move was more than defense. It was revenge in disguise. Many said it was the reply to years of trade disputes, years of being pushed and pressured into deals that always favored others. Now, instead of words or agreements, India had chosen action. By guarding its skies and borders like never before, it was quietly telling America, we don't forget, we repay. So I ask you, what's the truest form of revenge? Words, weapons, or patience? For America, the shock was not only technical, it was emotional. To imagine that a partner, a supposed friend, had created a system capable of outsmarting even its best resources was nearly unbearable. But India was not playing games anymore. It was no longer about emotions. It was about survival. The world of politics is merciless. Those who don't defend themselves become pawns in the plans of others. India had decided it would never again be a pawn. Tell me, what do you think is worse, being betrayed or being used? The radar was more than technology. It was a sign that India's eyes were open, awake, and unblinking. Every time America's spies tried to look, India was already looking back. It was like saying to the world, we know your steps before you even take them. That's not just defense, that's dominance. So here's my question. Does dominance come from fear or from respect? The more America discovered about India's defense, the more uneasy it became. Suddenly the balance had shifted. The hunter had become the hunted. The one who thought of itself as the master of surveillance was now being watched. In this silent war, trust was gone, and only suspicion remained. And suspicion is the seed from which wars grow. What do you think? Does war begin with weapons or with mistrust? The world was starting to see something bigger. This wasn't only about satellites or spying. This was about India standing tall and saying, we see you. It was about ending the illusion of weakness. For the first time, India had chosen not to remain silent, not to remain polite, not to remain dependent. And when a nation finds its true voice, the world has no choice but to hear it. So tell me, do you believe silence protects you or destroys you?